I've also seen things that work when there's an obvious sincerity in the post. There's no pretense, nothing. It's just that business being who they are and going back to their core mission. Those still seem to work, the humanity behind those posts. It kind of goes back to celebrating their staff, celebrating who they are, celebrating their community. Those are the kinds that tend to work.
That was Tabitha Toon, a Nashville-based social media marketing consultant. She calls it the doom scroll, an endless parade of posts on the feed of whatever platform sucked you in. As a content creator, you're left wondering, is there anything I can do to make sure my content rises above the noise? Tabitha acknowledges the social media industry and algorithms are constantly changing, making it difficult to determine what strategies are working. In our conversation, we discuss why it's important to stay on top of the latest trends and what resources Tabitha uses to help advise her own clients. Hi, friends. My name is Carla Swank-Fox, and you're listening to Artisanal Insights, a podcast featuring real humans crafting real content right here in Middle Tennessee. If that sounds like you, please get involved and stay connected at craftcontentnashville.org. Tabitha Toon, welcome to Artisanal Insights.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. How would you define yourself working in social media?
The terms just go back and forth these days. It's like content creator, content consultant, mostly just a marketer focusing in social media.
Yes, which is where the industry has gone, although the terms haven't necessarily come along with it. We can talk about that in a little bit here. But so you launched kind of your consultancy, your agency, a la Mode Media in 2009.
Yeah, that's when it was still really slow, but I had the idea that social media was going to be the way for companies, especially small companies, to just market themselves, either using blogs or a good website or just being on, I mean, back then it was what? Twitter, Facebook, maybe. Instagram, maybe, at that time, I think.
Instagram came up like 2010, 2011-ish. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I was at a job that used the blog a lot. And he was on the radio, old school podcast.
Okay.
So we kind of transcribed the content and put it on there. And, it kind of worked. People were still not into it. I think they didn't, especially his demographic. He was like a financial planner for estates. So it was old people. But I was also working with like a bridal company who was very local. And she saw the power of how her website and her blog and even on Twitter was getting her a lot of just people organically coming in and finding her.
Yeah.
Back then SEO wasn't like a known term or even its own industry.
Right.
So it was kind of nice seeing all those things fall into place. But I had a feeling that it was going to make a difference.
Yeah. Did you have like an aha moment at one point where you like did something and went, oh, this is going to be something?
Not till a lot later.
Okay.
Because it took me finding people too. Like my very first client was a chef. And because he was on a reality show, he saw the power of how he could connect with people. So he already kind of knew he didn't have the time to put in the work. So when I told him this was what I wanted to do, he said, let's try it out. Let's work together and do it. And because of the connections I made, I was able to kind of bridge that gap between him and finding him a bigger audience too. But it wasn't till like a couple of years later, I was working with another client. I walked in just to check on things, and the people in the kitchen came out and said, next time you're going to post about a dish, please warn us. Because we sold out because of your post this morning.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, well, I'm sorry. And also you're welcome.
Right.
So that was probably the biggest aha moment. But it's been slow building. And till this day, fast forward, I don't know how many years later, it's still so hard to say what tangibly is working or not working.
The whole world has changed since 2009, right? Right now we have more conversations about algorithms and all those kinds of things. Like, how do you stay on top of all this stuff to be able to help coach clients or guide clients down the path of like, this is probably the best plan of attack here, but you don't necessarily know, right?
I think about this meme that I saw recently. Well, it was, which is a post someone had put out there, like me as a social media manager in 2015. Like, okay, we're going to post at 11 o'clock every day, and newsletters have to go out on this day at this time for a better click rate. And me as a social media manager in 2024, I don't know, man. Let's just try something. I can't tell you. It's a lot of just tracking and being on social media to really be able to see. But unless you have an immediate like call to action, not to get too dry or technical here, but unless you have like a show us this post to do this, you're really not going to know. And it's all just everyone's best guess at this point.
And it's interesting because we've, even within the past decade, kind of gone through this era of like monitoring your analytics and being able to understand where people are coming from. And now it's just kind of like within the last, 18 months, something like that, we've kind of gone like you said, I don't know.
Like one day it's Instagram wants you to post more videos. Great. But my videos still aren't getting a lot of traction. That, oh no, you're going to post carousels now because that's going to be better for you. And you start posting carousels and it's like, that's not working either. What do you want us to do? They want us to advertise. Bottom line is they just want us to spend money on their platforms because it's free. The internet's free.
Right.
Unless they start charging people.
You say that the best way to learn about social media is just to be on it a lot. How do you balance that? Because I know I talk to a lot of like social media managers, right? That like they say the same thing, but like you can't be on social media all the time for a lot of different reasons, right?
You can. You shouldn't. For your own sanity. I mean, I have a child now.
Right.
First of all, I don't want him to see me on my phone constantly.
Yeah.
But also, we're bombarded with so much, whether we want to doom scroll or not, that doom is there. Even if our algorithm's feeding us cute cat videos, it's still interspersed with a lot of tragedy and news and politics. The one thing I have done that's made a big difference is just turning off my notifications. It means that I need to be a lot more conscious about what I look for when I'm on there monitoring or checking numbers or checking analytics. But it also means my phone's not constantly blinking on or going off or vibrating or whatever. And my phone's on silent too, but it's always there. It's always face up next to me somewhere where I can see. So in the corner of my eye, if I have a notification, it lights up and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But really that's the only way. And I find that when I'm at my most organized, I sit down and I actually like block out. I'm going to read the articles. I'm going to check on my numbers and then put the phone away.
Yeah.
And walk away from it. Like you shouldn't be on your phone all the time.
Yeah. Can you tell a little bit about like some of the different industries that you've worked in across the course of your career?
It's mostly when I started out, I fell into the food industry. Yeah. I learned that I was very comfortable in that environment. And because of my interest in it, it made it a lot easier for me to understand what I was trying to sell. And during COVID, I actually switched gears and because restaurants didn't have a lot of funds. So, of course, marketing is always the first thing to get thrown out of your budget.
Right.
That's fine. They had to pay their people. I actually got a job, it was a contract, like short-term thing to launch an app that was in healthcare.
Okay.
And it was a really nice app that was for self-care for nurses and people in the nursing industry that had reminders of take 5 minutes to yourself, take care of yourself. You are doing important work right now, but you can't pour from an empty cup, all that sort of thing. So that was an interesting pivot.
Yeah.
Too, because it was nice to have that stable income at that time. But once COVID died down, I started getting work again with same thing, small businesses, people starting up. I'm working with realtors, I work with artists, I work with authors, just teaching them and coaching them on how to use social media and their website to push their stuff when they have a minimal budget.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily think about all of those kinds of categories of industries like in the same kind of breath, but they're all trying to accomplish the same thing, right? With using social media.
They are. And I've been fortunate to work with people who are very emotionally invested in their work. Not everyone is willing to relinquish that control, so they end up being a lot of just coaching and consults. But the ones who understand the value behind just, focusing on their business and someone else running their social media, those have been the ones that are more long-term.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. I'm intrigued by these. I follow a lot of food accounts, right, on Instagram. So
as you do.
Yeah. So running or helping to manage food, restaurant, hospitality, those kinds of accounts, how do you appeal to like both the locals who live here, who, then you have like this tourist audience, and I'm thinking like of like kind of the touristy trap. They're still local restaurants, but like they're a little tourist trappy, right? As you're crafting posts, how do you thread that needle to be able to, or does that even cross your mind?
I have one of my best clients and one of my favorite clients that I no longer work with was a huge tourist trap. Mm-hmm. And this was the same restaurant that was also like, tell us before you post about our, French toast again or whatever. Because they are local, because they have lived here for a long time, they always embodied that we want locals here. Mm-hmm. And locals are more important, if not just as important as the tourists. And they had the luxury of having more than one location. So it was really easy that way to say, hey, if you live here, you want to avoid the tourists, go to this other place.
Right.
We'll take care of you wherever you go. But managing that, sometimes you just have to shut off those voices and just say what you need to say. That's the crux of being on social media. Even for my personal account, if we keep trying to anticipate how people are going to react to what we're trying to show people, it's crippling. I end up freezing because I think, oh no, someone's going to say something. Someone's going to have something snarky to say. But that's where the beauty of being able to hide keywords comes into. But I mean, so far, unless someone has something just completely against that business, locals have not reacted badly to the tourist traps and vice versa. Everyone, if you're doing the work, you're serving good food, whatever your voice is on social media matches the experience, I've found that everyone's happy.
Yeah. Another thing that like I've seen, small businesses in particular, I think, the ones that I interface with, sometimes the owners are like hesitant to show themselves, mm-hmm. right, on social. How do you coach your clients through that? Like, is there an effective way to do social media without showing your face these days, or is that too important?
If you want to be on TikTok, if you want your TikToks to work, I mean, even on Instagram, I think having a person's face on there is going to work a lot better. But unless it's one of those small chef-owned, people are going to come in because of the chef or because of the owner type businesses, I don't think it's that important. You can still get around it. If your focus is your food and you want people to pay attention to the food, push the food. Mm-hmm. If you're a celebrity chef, I get it. But you should also have your own account. And keep that separate, I don't think it's not going to really make or break the success of a business.
Okay. You said push the food there. So, oh, bless their hearts. I have a small restaurant that I visited a while ago, not in Nashville, elsewhere. And they're trying really hard to like do the social media thing, right? And they're trying to push the food. They took a really great picture of a plate of spaghetti and a really great picture of a plate of fish and chips. And every time that's the special, they post the same picture, right? And it's like, I get it. Like they're trying really, really hard, right? But like, I don't know if people understand like how hard is it to make a good food picture, because there's a lot that goes into that kind of stuff.
There is. And spaghetti's really hard to photograph. Anything with a red sauce just looks terrible if you don't have the right lighting.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like if restaurants just plan ahead. If you don't have time to take another picture of the fish and chips, get another angle. Get as many angles. Zoom out. Like, get a big wide shot and put it in a different part of the room. But on one hand, yeah, I could be really picky and say, like, no, we need different angles. But sometimes I don't think people notice. There are plenty of accounts out there that use the same picture over and over and over again. No one seems to really care,
What's the strangest thing that you've done to try to get that good food shot?
Just climbing on top of tables, trying to get a flat lay. Like I'm short, and then climbing on top of a table, trying to raise my tripod as high as it can go. And I'm not a professional photographer, so I don't have this setup where I can like hook it up to a computer and like really preview it. So it's a lot of me standing on top of tables with customers milling around going, what the heck is she doing? And just trying to take the perfect picture. So that's as crazy as it gets. And I know it's not going to be the craziest story that most photographers have. But for me, that's the one where I felt the most self-conscious.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Because it's hard not to stand out of the restaurant if you're standing on a table.
No. I mean, these days it's not. I haven't gotten to a point where I've gone to a restaurant with a ring light yet.
Okay.
But for work, yeah, I think that's the weirdest one. Or you're carrying dishes of food outside of the restaurant and you're walking around. People are like, what's happening here? And they're staring at you,
Yeah.
So.
That's fun. All in a day's work, right?
Yeah. For the gram.
Okay, so let's shift a little bit to like maybe the more practical side of things. So if you're running social media in any kind of context, whether that's yourself, right, for personal purposes, or whether you have a small business yourself, or any of those kinds of things. You mentioned this earlier, the idea of like the platforms want you to pay, right? They want you to pay. And that's pretty evident just by the way that they've set things up now. Even if you don't really know what you're doing, it's pretty evident because they keep pushing you to like pay things. Is there still room for an organic presence on social media anymore? That's a loaded question, I realize.
Just based on what I've seen, yes, there is. But it also depends on how you're going to define whether that campaign or that post is successful. Like if you're just measuring it by people through the door, that's a little harder to track using social media unless you have some sort of like, beacon or something that tracks people walking in, using their phones and tracking their phones, which that does exist. But organic growth, you never know when your post is going to go viral. There's a local restaurant that constantly goes viral for stealing tweets and posting it on their sign. But I mean, they're huge now.
Right.
And I've seen like national accounts repost their stuff, but that's all organic. It has nothing to do with their food. Right. It's just a sign outside their building. That's what's working for them. So yes and no. And then sometimes you may not have to pay to advertise, but you might have to pay a publicist to market you, especially if you want tourists, especially if you want like new people to come through to magazines to get you on the news or like morning programs. So the organic growth is part luck. And also if you're very consistently doing something that touches people, that lets them connect. Long story short, yes, it is possible. You just really got to work at it.
Okay. So there is hope.
There is hope, yes. Yeah. I wish I could give a smarter or more researched, intelligent answer to what works on social media. And I think because it's so hard to tell between a post it's not that hard to tell when it's like AI generated, but between a post that was sponsored or like paid for if it doesn't outright say it was sponsored. I've also seen things that work when there's an obvious sincerity in the post. There's no pretense, nothing. It's just that business being who they are and going back to their core mission. Those still seem to work, the humanity behind those posts. That's what's worked for the people I've worked with anyway. It kind of goes back to the locals versus tourists, celebrating their staff, celebrating who they are, celebrating their community.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds that tend to work.
Yeah. People like to see other people, right? Like I think that adds some authenticity to it as well.
Yes. And also, if somehow whatever you put in the content lets the person looking at it feel seen,
yes,
that also helps a lot.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's why Sunday Scaries does so well.
Yeah. Because people see themselves in that content. Yeah. No, that's a great point. On the practical side still, let's talk about AI. If you read the social media publications and the newsletters that come out every day or whoever, it's just like AI content is going to take over our feeds. And we are starting to see that some, thinking along the same lines of the organic stuff, right? Like, are we going to be able, how can we be heard when there's just so much, signal versus noise, right? When there's so much noise out there right now with all this AI generated content.
I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid of my job being taken over by AI, but it's still not flawless. You still need a person to come in and doctor what it's telling you to say. Because, admittedly, I have also, like, when I run out of ideas, when I feel like my captions have gotten so repetitive, I have gone into ChatGPT and said, hey, I need just something about brunch. and I want it to feel this way. And it'll throw out an idea. It's been helpful, but it's still not perfect. It's still either really corny or you can tell like there's some weird grammar issue here and there. So, but because I've tried that out, I don't feel as afraid of it taking my job just yet. Because, I still don't really know how I would use it to automate anything. But I think bot farms are trying to do that now, like on Threads and on Twitter with responses.
Yeah.
And just sowing discourse. That's the part that scares me a lot more. I've seen some restaurants use AI images and people don't like it. There's always something wrong with it and something creepy about it.
Yeah.
And fans don't like it that much. So I don't know how quickly it's going to take over our jobs, but it's not now.
There's been some interesting videos that I've seen over the past just short amount of time of AI trying to replicate videos.
Oh, yeah.
And how they're just absolute, like, the caption on one was like, AI doesn't understand how the human body works. And it's like a ballerina trying to...
Oh my God, and then she's got like 3 legs.
She's got 3 legs and yeah.
It took a dark turn.
It did. It's very, very quickly, yeah. So, we're not there yet. But like, you're right. How long is it going to take? We don't know.
It's been useful though. Like sometimes I just need like a background to put some text on. Generic graphics that I can't find. And, I have an Adobe subscription, so it's free. I use video editing software that recently had an update that said, hey, now you can replicate your voice and just do speech to text in your voice, which I thought, that's really scary.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that yet, but I'm curious, so I might try it out and see how that works. Know thy enemy, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, yeah, the fact that home users like me now have that technology at our fingertips, like, ooh.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
They're powerful tools that we're now getting access to or giving access to everybody.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. You mentioned video. So let's talk video a little bit. So a lot of small businesses that I've seen or small creators are like, I don't know if I want to do video. It's a lot of time and energy and effort. What words of advice do you have for somebody who is like, I don't think I can do video?
Bottom line, if you don't have the time to do something, do what you have the time to do. Especially if social media isn't the main driving force behind getting people into your business. If it's just there to complement your marketing, do what you can. If you have the budget to hire someone to do it for you, just make sure they're doing what you want them to do. Like, if you feel good about the content that they're about to put out for you, hire those people. But again, it's going to go back and forth. Someday soon, I'm not going to be surprised if Meta says, hey, we're going to go back to stills. We're going to go back old school. Forget video for a while. We're going to start feeding people on your For You page to just a picture that's stagnant, nothing else. So do what fits into your time frame and your budget. So
yeah, because earlier this summer, it was... isn't it like static images with music behind them were the ones that were like performing well and for you?
Yeah. And then, you're supposed to use the music that is shown to you first. Use the trending audio. And then it's, no, don't use trending audio. Use original audio. Put your face in there. Oh, don't put your face in there. Put captions. And don't talk over it. Or, do what you can to start. Ease yourself into something new. There's some weight in when they say they want you to do something like video, reels, stories, whatever it is, but just do what you can. Otherwise, it's going to be a real pain. And it just gets to a point where you're like, no, I'm done. I'm just not going to touch this. No social media for me. And then your account's just sitting there.
Right.
So,
yeah. There's obviously so much news. Things change every day when it comes to social. Do you have any like go-to resources that you use that you're like, I check this website or I check this, newsletters or those kinds of things that help you stay on top of this stuff? Or other accounts that you follow that help you stay on top of this stuff?
Yes, I follow they're content creators about creating content.
Yeah.
Those are always very useful because they have good tips on how to use just your phone to get really dynamic pictures. How to use lighting. And I used to follow Hootsuite has a really good blog. And even if you don't use their service, they have, I mean, it's free. You
Right.
just go on their site and you might have to put an email address in, but it's always got good tips. And, they're the ones that are staying on top of what the industry standard is. And they'll just kind of simplify it and give you just the nuts and bolts of what to do. So that's always going to be useful. And just Google, Reddit, always useful too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are there certain threads or certain like subreddits that are helpful?
I would just find the Instagram ones, the TikTok ones, and then search through there. But Google lately has been feeding me a lot of Reddit results first. So I just type in my question and there it is.
So what kind of tips do you have for somebody that might be thinking, hey, I think social media might be a career for me?
Oh. Well, the nice thing is there are a lot of agencies out there who now hire for social media content creators. And that is a standalone position. It's no longer being shoved into, marketing or communications. So there's lots of opportunities out there. I think if you can stick to an industry that you believe in, do that. Don't sell your soul just to be on Instagram all the time. I would hope that if they're teaching this in schools, that they give them the reality of, like, if you're going to work with a restaurant, no, you're not going to eat good food all the time. You're not just sitting there posting on Instagram all day. Just because you are on Instagram all day doesn't mean you should do this for a living. It's not as sexy as it appears to be. But I think there's a lot more opportunities now than there were a long time ago where, like, I had to carve that out for myself and work for myself. If I were a 20-something right now, just based on the LinkedIn emails I get all the time, there's a bunch of great, cool jobs out there for really good companies. So,
yeah. What you said LinkedIn, and that got my head spinning a little bit because there's like two social platforms that like we don't talk a lot about, and one of them is LinkedIn. It's coming back into the vibe, but the other one is Pinterest.
Oh yeah, Pinterest is still there. It's a huge company.
It
a
is.
friend of mine got a job with them, and she's loving it. I don't use it enough.
Yeah, it's interesting that like some of the platforms that like when we got started, they're coming back. And Pinterest is one of them. From what I've read is like bloggers are going back to Pinterest in droves because it's helping drive search better than Google is.
Yes.
I
think influencers are using it more too to lead to their, shops or whatever their affiliate links are. But I still haven't seen a benefit for businesses to use it. Like unless they have really nice photography or they share recipes. It's more like a database of information than it is just showcasing what your business does. LinkedIn, though, I mean, I have like a job filter set on there just because I'm always looking for some remote work or some new clients. But I still haven't used it as a social platform. Like I see a lot of notifications if another friend has posted their thoughts on something.
Right.
Do I click through? No, sorry. If you're listening and you know me. But yeah, I don't know. They're trying. They've always tried LinkedIn to be a social platform, and I just.
Well, it's interesting. Like the growth of LinkedIn newsletters is interesting right now too. That like I've seen a lot of people like posting content there, and that they're getting subscribers, and that might be interesting to somebody just getting started to try to get some reach.
Yes, I mean that, and there's Substack too.
Yeah,
stuff like that. If you're a writer, that might be the best place for you to start, but. I don't have a lot of profound thoughts on these things that it would warrant a whole LinkedIn post.
Yeah. Thinking to 2025, do you have a prediction or a hope for social media in the new year?
I would love for there to be a lot less discourse. I miss the days where you knew the information that you were seeing was coming from a credible source. Like these days, I feel like you see something and then you can't just take it at face value anymore. You got to go dig because it's all clickbait. I just like to see transparency again. That would be nice.
Okay, let's talk Nashville.
Oh, sure.
Let's do the Artisanal Insights questionnaire. Ooh. Okay, here we go. Who is a local creative that we should all be following?
Oh, I mean, follow me.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. No, so a friend of mine makes ice cream. She has a book coming out soon on the history of ice cream and how a lot of it was actually influenced by Black people. And it was a lot of, like, I learned recently that is it butterscotch? Some flavors were actually created by Black ice cream chefs.
Nice.
Yeah. So she's got a whole book that coming out soon. Saturated ice cream. Follow her. It's all very interesting. She's doing a lot of pop-up dinners and events in town. And her ice cream's delicious. And it's dairy-free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She launched it during COVID, and it was infused with CBD. I think she still does that. But then the core of what she does now is she wants to look at the history of it. And she's a chef. She knows what she's doing. But I would follow her. She's one person I follow.
Yeah. Second question, what is a hidden gem in Nashville, Middle Tennessee, like the region in general, that we as locals just take for granted?
You know, some of the tourist traps are actually really good. Just because it's popular with tourists doesn't mean it's bad. I think if it's local, you should just give it a shot. If there are any in particular, a lot of our coffee places. And I'm biased, like I work with them now, but Frothy Monkey, they've been around for a long, long time, and they're still consistently doing really good work, and their coffee's good. I'm lucky that I get to work with people that I actually like. And so when they, asked if I could work with them, I was so happy to, because I already liked what they were doing. So, but yeah, a coffee shop that seems to be forgotten or overlooked a lot. And then when you mention it, people, they're like, oh yeah, I forgot about it. Because they're also a restaurant. They have brunch. They have happy hour. So I'm going to shameless plug them.
As a good social media manager would. No. So that tees up my third question, which is, what's your favorite coffee order in Nashville?
Ooh, I judge a coffee place by their black coffee. So I'll usually start there. But lately I've been into matcha lattes. It's just very refreshing in the summer. And it's not, like I can drink it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and not crash really badly.
Yeah.
So yeah, oat milk iced matcha latte.
Matcha lattes? So other than Frothy, who else has a good one in town?
Well, if it's not Frothy, I usually would just get like a latte, slightly sweetened. Crema has really good drinks and coffee, also really good black coffee. Matryoshka has some really fun drinks. Like you can't go wrong with whatever you order from them. And they have some pink ones too that are just delightful. Plus, it's a nice vibe when you go in there.
Yeah.
I like going in there. I don't know. It switches. It depends on the day. But yeah, I'm either a black coffee, black iced coffee, or if I'm getting like a flavored drink, matcha or a latte.
Nice. Yeah. Where can people follow you?
I am at Tabulous with 2 B's on Instagram and almost everything. I'm still on Twitter. I mean, it exists. I don't go on there anymore or tweet. Yeah. I use it just to follow. Oh, severe weather. Yeah. Nashville severe weather. That is the account to follow. So that's really the only reason why I'm still on Twitter. It's so when there's a storm coming, I can check.
You can check to make sure we're all going to be okay. So thank you, Nash Severe Weather.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on Artisanal Insights. It was great chatting with you today.
Thanks for having me. It was good to catch up with you.
Thanks for listening. Get involved and stay connected with our creative community at craftcontentnashville.org. You can join our conversations on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. And if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe or follow, rate and review, and, of course, share Artisanal Insights wherever you get your audio content. Now go forth and craft content. We'll talk with you again soon.